It's finally here. Howdy. Hey Jimmy, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the October horror bracket. Natalie and I had this great idea to watch 31 horror movies in 31 days, which we've been doing okay at so far. There have been some double feature days because it's actually kind of a pain in the ass to watch 31 movies in 31 days. But the way that the series will work is every Wednesday we will do a recap video where we talk about the last week of films, and we'll talk about which film won in that bracket. And then at the end of the month, we will do a final stream where we sort of finish the bracket out. So throughout these weeks, we'll fill it out slowly. This is the bracket for the time being. A lot of films here that we're going to be talking about. As the weeks go on, we'll start filling out these round ones in no particular order. At the end of the month, we'll do the rest of the brackets in one long stream. Natalie, you want to say hi?
Hi. Very excited.
Besides all of the horror movies we've watched recently, what's like your favorite movie you've seen in the last few months?
I don't know. Night House was really good.
The Night House, of course, another horror.
I really liked The Night House. What else have we seen? Oh, I really liked Titan. Does that count? I thought that was very good too.
Titan was pretty good. Okay. Again, both horror movies.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Yeah. I mean, there's a theme here. Unfriended, really. Yes, Unfriended 2.
The second one, though, yeah.
Unfriended 2 got to skip the first round. So, yeah, but obviously, it's funny because I'm obsessed with movies, and Natalie is obsessed with horror movies, and she's kind of gotten me to enjoy horror movies a lot more. And I think that horror in general is just a really interesting genre because there's such a wide gambit. You know, horror could mean like so many different things.
Oh, it's amazing.
And it lets you watch a lot of bad movies, which I think is actually important.
Yeah.
Mike says, yo, it can't be that good.
It is good.
Unfriended 2 is good. I don't think it's that. I don't think it's gonna win the bracket. I mean, there's a lot of movies on here that aren't that fantastic.
Good. Yeah.
I mean,
it's a horror movie contest, you know.
Right.
They're not good.
That's the thing, is horror movies aren't that good. So I mean, that's why we have our own scale for ranking these films. And I'll talk about that scale now while we're at it. So we're not just rating these movies out of 10 and rating them against every other film ever made. We're trying to meet these films where they are and appreciate each film for doing something fun, right? So this is our scale. There's 3 criteria that the film has to meet. Entertainment, 0 to 4. Scares/kills, 0 to 4. And then writing/acting, 0 to 2. So writing/acting matters the least amount. For a total score of 10. So a movie that's not great and has bad acting isn't going to suffer that much. They can still succeed if they have good entertainment value and good kill value. I don't think most of these movies would stand a chance against... I mean, when you put a movie up here like Hereditary, that's like actually a good movie, it's going to beat out something like Jason 4 or Killer Clowns. So we're trying to meet them where
We have
they're
not
at.
seen Killer Clowns. You can't say that.
That's true. I'm just going off of a hunch.
But you don't know, so.
That's true. Okay.
You want to jump into it?
Yeah, so we actually sort of skipped Jeepers Creepers this time around because we just watched it so recently, but it had to be on the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with Jeepers Creepers.
Okay.
Do you want to start?
Yeah, because I took notes.
Speak up a little bit.
Yes, because I took notes for it. Do you want to know, how do you want me to tell you my final score for it first, or do you want me to tell you, each category first? How would you like to do it?
Let's do, I don't know.
Let's go each way.
Okay, go for it.
So for entertainment, I put a 2 out of 4, and I wrote notes. So I put for the beginning, I put that I love the beginning. It's the truck is very great. It builds a lot of suspense. You just see him oh, are we spoiling?
Oh yeah, I guess we should say we will be spoiling.
Slight spoilers, probably.
We will be spoiling a lot of these movies.
But you should see them by now.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is horror movies I don't know. Try not to spoil too much at the very end, but don't let it impact you too much.
But I think when you see him throw the body down the tube, that's terrifying. That is so scary. Can you imagine driving down the road? I think that's very scary. But so I'm entertained, Okay. Anyway, the entire middle of the movie I fucking hate. It is so boring. It's a sleeper. Awful. The psychic doesn't need to be there. The cat lady doesn't need to be there. Fucking hate it. Horrible. But then the last 30 seconds suck me back in.
Really?
So good. I love the song plays. There's that final little cut. Oh, great. So it got 2 out of 4 for entertainment. Do you want me to do all mine, or do you want to tell what you did for entertainment?
I would run through your whole gambit.
Okay, so for scare/kills, I only gave it a 1 out of 4, which is kind of crazy because I think the scariest thing is just the monster reveal. That's really the only scary thing that happens is when they show you what the monster looks like.
Okay.
And then no one super dies dramatically. There's no dramatic deaths. There is his lair, and that is scary.
There's the cop kill on the road.
But that's
where he lands on the cop car and
that's not
takes his head out and
I didn't
eats his tongue.
It's not scary though. It's more gimmicky, campy. I think the guy is the scariest. This is my list. This is
yeah.
And then production again, I put 1 out of 2. Which this really surprised how low. So if you're doing the math in your head, that's only a 4 out of 10 that I've given Jeepers Creepers, which is so sad because it's a great movie. But I said the monster's scary and memorable, but the writing is less than amazing. And then they didn't need to write in the cat lady or any of that shit. That's how I feel.
Okay. All right. Let me take a stab at it.
Okay.
So first of all, this score here is my real score. That isn't going to be indicative of we're doing this on a different scale, so you can ignore that. But Jeepers Creepers is such a nostalgic movie for me. For whatever reason, I saw it too much as a kid, and rewatching it recently made me realize how much of it is burned into my memory. I remember most of this movie, and I really think you're discounting in the entertainment categories. For entertainment, I'd give it a 3 out of 4. I think this movie is very entertaining most of the way. And it's really unique because yes, all of the cat lady stuff is stupid, but the purpose that she serves is she's able to explain all of this crazy lore about him.
But I hate the lore explanations. I so much prefer a flashback where they show the origins of it. I hate when someone's and this is why he's scary. I do not love it.
That aside, I think it's really fun how much lore he has and how much they talk. Even if it's not explained super interestingly, I do think it's just cool that he scares you because that allows him to smell what he wants within you, and then when he eats that, it becomes part of him. That's cool. It's cool that whenever he starts hunting you, the radio just plays a version of the Jeepers Creepers song, which everyone knows. That's a really cool piece of lore. His whole 27 years he feeds for whatever, it's basically it, right?
Yeah.
It's every however many years he feeds for this many days. It's just cool that there's all these little pieces that later on in the series kind of turn into schlock. But I don't know. Like you said, the first act of this movie is is so good.
Yeah.
And like there's the whole brother sister dynamic, which we talked
great.
about. Like
you never see that, and it was really fun.
Yeah, like instead of it being like a boyfriend girlfriend like it is in every other horror movie, it's like a brother sister relationship, which is really
a very believable one too.
Yeah, they're super good with each other. Yeah. He's fantastic in it, which like the main guy, he's like typically Justin Long.
Also in Herbie Fully Loaded, and he's very good in that. So.
But that's what I'm saying. He's typically in these like cheesy like comedy or like teen rom-com. Like I've never really seen him in like a serious role.
Drag Me to Hell.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
I haven't either, but I know he's in it.
Okay. But he's awesome in it. The first third is great when they like discover his hideout, and there's like the crazy like room down there with like all of the bodies and stuff. Like
you're spoiling so much. You told me not to spoil, and now you're spoiling.
Regardless, I tie all of that into entertainment, and so that's why I give entertainment a 3 out of 4. Because I think for a horror movie, it's really memorable. That's my score. That's
okay.
Fine.
That's only one off of mine, so it's fine.
Scares/kills, I'd give a 2 out of 4 because I do think there's a couple good kills in it. Mike said, gotta love comedic actors taking serious roles. That's always really unique, right?
Chris Rock, not good. Chris Rock and Spiral.
There are bad examples of it too. Yeah. So Scares/kills, I'd give a 2 out of 4 because I do think that there are some scary moments in it for sure. And then writing slash acting, I'd give a 1 out of 2. Mm-hmm. Not bottom of the barrel. There is some believable like brother sister dialogue stuff in it, but like the acting is pretty spotty. So overall, I gave Jeepers Creepers a 6 out of 10. So 2 higher than you.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're not that far off.
Not bad. Okay, so now we have to talk about what's with Jeepers Hellraiser with Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, so the next one was Hellraiser, a film that I had seen before and she had not.
And I had not seen before. So, for entertainment with Hellraiser, I just gave it a 1. And I didn't put any notes. But I feel like because it was fine, it had its fine moments that I do enjoy and they were memorable. But it was also very boring. And as someone who would... Yes, okay, thanks for pulling that up. Are you going to pull it up on the thing? Because... I'd never seen Hellraiser, and I expected this guy to be all over Hellraiser. No, he's in it for like 3 minutes. And so, like, that was very strange to me and didn't make a lot of sense why you build it all around him and then not put him in the fucking movie. Very strange.
Yeah.
So, Scares for Kills, I put actually 3 for 4. 3 out of 4.
Wow, really?
I did, because I fucking loved that demon wild cat dog thing in the hospital. That was, like, clappy seal at the bottom and weird at top. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Loved him. Thought he was so cool, so gross, and very scary. I'd be scared. The teeth chattering guy, crazy. Yeah. So crazy. Loved him.
Yeah.
And then when Frank first forms,
that's
incredible. Insane.
It's incredible.
That is so good. Yeah. So it got a 3 out of 4 for me. I thought it was it was like The Thing. It had crazy The Thing vibes. Loved it. Loved practical effects. And then for production, I put 0 out of 2 because it was so fucking boring. It really was. I did not like it. They kept just saying, oh no, and oh shit, and that's not horror writing. I don't like it. It's not good.
Which gives you a total score of
4 out of 10, just like Jeepers Creepers.
Okay, and then so I agree with you like pretty much most of the way. This movie, and I said this when I reviewed it initially, but it does this thing that a lot of 80s horror movies do where like it's like a bait and switch where like they promote this like interesting slasher character and then the movie turns out to be about something completely different.
Insane.
Where like the slasher stuff's almost like a backdrop for the film, which sounds more interesting than it actually turns out to be. But yeah, this movie's just boring. I mean, the first act, you're like, okay, like maybe there's something here.
Yeah.
There's a kind of a cool premise. There's like weird sexual vibes throughout the whole film,
But that made sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of what this movie's kind of known for, I guess, being like this kind of like demonic sexual movie.
Yeah.
But it's mostly just boring. Nothing really happens.
Yeah, it's awful.
The acting is pretty terrible.
I put the girl and her boyfriend could not care fucking less. They
Doesn't
were
matter.
Nothing to
completely
do.
irrelevant.
Like awful. So
entertainment, I'd give it a 1 out of 4. This movie's really boring. Scare/kills, I'd only give a 2 out of 4. I do think there's a lot of great stuff in this movie, but for as much great stuff as there is, there's just way too much like boring, super uninteresting stuff. Every time she kills someone, it's super boring and like uninteresting.
Yeah.
And there's really only like a couple moments at the beginning and the end that are like relatively scary.
They were good though.
Yeah, they were good, but I mean like
No, I hear you.
I don't know. And then writing / acting, straight up a 0 out of 10. The dialogue is terrible. The acting is terrible. There's nothing redeeming about either of those things.
I agree.
It's very clear that this movie struggled to hit the 1 hour, 30-minute mark.
Yeah.
So there are just scenes of people like walking and like doing things. Like there are scenes that you could cut from the movie and it doesn't make a single difference. So, so total score, I'd give it 3 out of 10.
And I gave it a 4, so it's 7 out of 10. So technically, Jeepers Creepers wins.
Yeah. So when we look at our scores, I have a clear winner of Jeepers Creepers, and did you tie?
It's tied, but we take your score plus my score for both of them.
Well, I wasn't going to do that. I was going to say that we were just...
Then I say Jeepers Creepers wins because I can sit through Jeepers Creepers multiple times. I never want to watch that again.
Okay. So, we'll go over to our bracket, and we'll zoom in to that section. Where was it? Jeepers Creepers / Hellraiser. Oh, we got to start the tournament.
Start the tournament, dude.
And the winner is Jeepers Creepers.
Woo!
We've started it off
With a bang.
All right.
So then our next bracket was Trick or Treat and As Above, So Below.
Two really good movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like both of these movies a lot.
These are two of my favorite movies. Can you show them on the bracket though?
2 of your favorite Halloween movies?
Mm.
Same thing for you, huh?
Yeah, they're kind of the same. They're running the same for me. I really love them.
Okay, so this is where we're at now. As Above, So Below, and Trick or Treat. That was our next bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Just some background. I saw As Above, So Below in theaters when it came out. Came out when we were in like early high school, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you see it in theaters?
I did not. The first time I saw it, it was like on Netflix. And
when did you see it?
like alone in my dorm room, probably junior year of college. Like not that long ago. Well, I guess
that's
not a long while ago. I'm kind of old now.
Yeah, but that's still like it was out for a while before you saw it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trick or Treat I didn't see until like very recently with you.
Until
You
I
showed it to me.
Mm-hmm. I think like last year probably.
Yeah.
Was the first time.
And when was the first time you saw Trick or Treat?
I think like freshman year of high school. Like,
yeah.
young.
So you saw that.
Yeah.
See, I remember way back when I would go to like Family Video. I remember seeing Trick or Treat on the shelf and like thinking like that looks like a scary movie, but I have these memories of knowing about Trick or Treat, but for whatever reason I just never ever saw it.
Jimmy votes for As Above, So
Jimmy
Below.
says Hellraiser slaps. Wrong. Practical effects are insane.
They are. I agree with the practical effects, but the movie itself is not good. It's a really bad movie.
As Above, So Below for me.
Like he votes for.
Oh, that's the one that you would pick out of these two. Okay, so before I let Natalie go on, I just wanted to say Trick or Treat was a film I hadn't seen for a long time, and it surprised me with how charming it was, and I'll save the rest.
It is. It's nostalgic and camp. It's fun.
Do you want to dive in?
Yes. With Trick or Treat first.
Yeah, sure.
So I love Trick or Treat. I love Sam. I think it's fantastic. It is so fun. So I gave it a 4 out of 4 for entertainment because I could watch it as soon as it ends. I would restart it. I fucking love this movie. I love the way that the stories are told. I love how they wrap around and they connect to each other. I lost my stuff. Oh, the werewolf party is iconic. They just start ripping their skin off. Fantastic. And they bait you the whole time. They're like, oh, she's so innocent. Fantastic. I love it so much. And Sam. I will stand Sam till the day I die. He is so cute and so menacing, and he just wants you to celebrate Halloween correctly. That's it. For scares and kills, I only gave it a 2 out of 4 because there's not really any amazing kills. It's more like a fun movie, I would say.
Yeah.
Really the best part is the werewolf scene, and then the vomit overload's kind of fun. Like
yeah, it's a pretty awesome scene.
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good scene
for kind of other reasons, but
yeah. Oh, definitely. And for production, I gave it a 2 out of 2 because I think it's the perfect small town. You're so nostalgic for this town, and you don't live there. You've never been there, but you like feel something. It just feels like Halloween.
First of all, we agreed that it wasn't production; it was writing / acting. That's what we landed on. So do you have to adjust your score with
I don't think
that
so.
in mind?
I don't think so.
You still give it a 2 out of 2 for writing slash acting.
I give it a 2 out of 2 for it because I think the child actors in this movie are fine. I think they're great. I think the vice principal is perfect. He's like slimy and gross and his lines are fine. Maybe I do give it a 1 out of 2 for writing. Because really, the writing is not what makes the movie. It's the vibe. It's the atmosphere.
It is. But that's what I kind of tie that into entertainment.
So, that nostalgic for the town and stuff?
That's what I would think of when I think of entertainment.
Okay.
Is like how I feel watching the movie.
Okay. I hear that. So, I guess I would knock down production to a 1. Just because it's not super... I mean, I guess it is, though. Because I have to
It's
try out the
okay.
stories.
It's not bad.
I keep my 2. I love this movie.
Okay.
So.
Total score?
Total score of 8 out of 10.
Okay.
High for Trick or Treat.
All right. This movie really, really surprised me, and it surprised me that they never made a sequel. Apparently, they like attempted to at one point, and like it went through production hell and kind of failed. But it's really good. I mean, it's an anthology story where all of the stories kind of tie together at the end, which sounds like it could be really bad, but I think they do it well. Yeah, I don't know. Entertainment, I gave... What did I give this? Entertainment, I gave a 4 out of 4, same as you. I think the vibes in this movie are immaculate. I think it's so festive. There's like decorations are on point. There's like literally like a Halloween parade happening. There's just like every little nostalgic piece of like Halloween in the suburbs is represented in this film, and it's all done well. And it's funny. It's got a little bit of camp. It's got a little bit of serious horror. It's got some fun little twists. It's got good music. It's got a good little mascot. I mean, entertainment-wise, as far as like a fun Halloween movie to throw on, it doesn't really get much better than this.
No, it's the best Halloween movie.
Right. Like, unless you're going for like actually scary or full-on camp, like those are different categories you could go in, right? But if you're looking for like the best, like down the middle of the road film, it's probably Trick or Treat.
Yes, which is why I felt kind of weird that it was on the list, because this is not a horror movie by any means. I don't feel like it is. It is, but you cannot have Halloween without Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
So like.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But I mean, like it technically is a horror movie. I mean, in the same way that a slasher movie is a horror movie.
And the bus scene is pretty.
Yeah.
Spooky,
no, it's
like,
definitely a horror. I mean, like, listen, like, when you define horror, it's kind of... There's a lot of stuff that fits into that. I mean, you could say that, like, a campy
we've defined
slasher
horror
film
before,
could be
and
horror.
I think that horror has to be supernatural.
But there's plenty of exceptions to that rule.
I don't think slashers are horrors. I think they're slashers. I think it's a little boop of...
I don't know.
It's fine.
Regardless, entertainment, I gave 4 out of 4. Scares/kills, I only gave a 2 out of 4. Just because there's really not... There are some good kills, but it's not like the centerpiece of the film.
It's not what it's there for.
And writing/acting, I give a 1 out of 2. So similar to you, but like I can't give this a perfect score for writing/acting. I mean, for a horror movie, it's about as close as it gets to like perfect.
Yeah.
But still, I can't give this a 2 out of 2 when I know that Hereditary is coming up on this list, and that is going to be a 2 out of 2 for writing/acting for me.
Yeah.
So
you can have more than 1 2 out of 2 though.
That's true, but then if I'm putting them on the same level, like I can't say...
I feel like Trick or Treat and Hereditary are on the same level.
For writing/acting?
For everything. For movie.
Well, Well, I give this movie a 7 out of 10.
And
You
I
gave it an 8
out of 10.
Which is really high. And
yeah, I was surprised, honestly, how high it was, but not really.
Okay, so moving on to...
As Above, So Below.
As Above, So Below.
Yes.
This was the one I saw in theaters. I have very nostalgic memories of this movie.
I wish I would have. Was it fun in the theater?
I mean, it's nostalgic because like thinking back, like that's like that age where like seeing a horror movie in the theater was like kind of this like, you felt like you were doing something you weren't supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it's like naughty.
Right, like it was still exciting to like go out. Like it must have been early. I mean, this movie, it was released a while ago.
Yeah, it's not new.
But Natalie, if you want to take it away and let us know
will.
what you thought about it.
I really like this movie. This is one that I have watched probably 10 times. Like, I've seen this movie a lot. And that kind of, I think, has affected how because it's not as scary anymore, which sucks because the first like multiple times I watched this movie, terrified, like actual nightmares. It really, really fucked me up. It was very scary, and we watched it last night, and it was like, oh, this is a good movie, but I'm not like crying. I gave it a 3 out of 4 for entertainment. I said it's super dark and spooky, and they have a really good pace of the spooky things. Yeah. Like, they throw it in very nice. They kind of edge you a little bit, and then it's, like, there. And I like that a lot. It's not just all the last 30 minutes, like most horror movies. I think all the characters are super likable. Even, like, the main bitch. I, like, enjoy her, and I don't have a problem with her. Oh, and I really like the stuff before it really gets scary. Like, I think it's super cool. Like, the whole, like, very first scene where she's in Iran is awesome. Yeah. It is super cool. His, like, clock tower scene, fantastic. Like, I love it all so much. I don't love that scene right there. I think that scene's kind of kitschy and, like, doesn't need to be there. The little national treasure bit. But I really, really am entertained when I watch this movie. For Scares and Kills, I gave it a 3 out of 4 because, like, as I said, it scared me so fucking bad the first multiple times I watched it, and so I can't forget that. The jump scares are, like, just enough where, like, things, like, pop up and it's scary, like the cop when they first get there. Like, that's, like, oh my gosh.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, and so it just comes out of nowhere, and you don't even really know what's happening until they start telling you what's happening in their screams. Like, you can't see that that's an officer until they start saying it. Yeah. So I think that's really good. The fucking car kill is, like, one of the scariest things to me. That underground submerged is very scary. All the monsters, I think, are, like, well done scary. And they're only shown, like, so quick. And I think that adds to it, because it is a found footage. And I love it. But for production, I gave it a 1 out of 2, because it's not written super well. It is kind of annoying. It's very cheesy towards the end. Benji's death scene we were talking doesn't really make any fucking sense, and that's kind of sad. And yeah, I also put as a little PS that the catacombs is a great place to do a movie, and more people should do movies in the catacombs. Mm-hmm. And the ending credits track is fantastic. Yeah. It is all I want in an ending credit track.
So, what's your total score?
My total score is a 7 out of 10.
Okay. So, As Above, So Below, great movie. Mm-hmm. Jimmy said that it's his pick for this bracket. And going into this, and, you know, we rewatched this movie like a year or two ago. And, like, it reminded me.
Who said that? Jimmy. We said that, too. We were like, wait a fucking minute. This would not
be Dude, we say that
English.
Every time.
It's so stupid. Yeah. That is so annoying. Yes. So that's why I also couldn't give the writing a 2, because that doesn't make any
sense. Yeah, we're straight up watching it. We're like, it wouldn't rhyme in English.
Tyler said it, and I was like, I was literally thinking that, dude. Like, crazy. Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. Jimmy, you're right. Yeah, it wouldn't rhyme in English. I love this movie. It's, like I said, it's super nostalgic for me, but beyond that, I think it's like, people might write it off as being like your typical like 2010s horror movie, but I think it's executed very well. I think the main 2 characters have tons of charisma. Mm-hmm. Honestly, a lot of the main cast is very like entertaining and like fun to watch. Like, the main leader of like the cave diving group is super memorable. These 2 characters that you see on screen right now are super memorable. The writing is like serviceable, and then like what this movie really has going for it is it takes elements from a lot of great films. Like it pulls from like National Treasure, it pulls from like the found footage vibe of Blair Witch. It pulls from the cave diving claustrophobia of The Descent. And it mixes all of these with its own little charm of being in the catacombs and the idea of, you know, the spooky stuff that could happen down there. And the story is good, and I think that story and the horror pacing, like you said, is really what carries this film. But every time I watch this movie, I'm so ready to rate it highly, and then the third act happens, and there are a lot of plot holes, and it's clear that they either cut things or rewrote things, because, you know, every death is supposed to sort of be like tied into this element that they've experienced in the past, like this curse that they have, and then like deaths happen that aren't related to anything whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Dante joined. Hey, what's up, Dante? How are you? So I don't know. Yeah, I think it kind of falls flat at the end, except like the last like 15 seconds are like 10 out of 10 amazing.
Yeah, it's
which
fantastic.
is awesome. Like the very end of this movie, like anyone that has seen this movie knows exactly what we're talking about.
Good.
It's like such a cool moment, especially like in high school. You're like, whoa, you know, like
it's so good. But even like the very very end, where it's just like they're like leaving.
Yeah.
Like, that's
it's
fantastic.
Awesome. It's awesome.
Just quiet and fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great ending. Like, the very end of it is great.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, the third act and how they sort of, like, resolve the conflict is kind of weak.
Yeah.
And there are some other elements in that third act that are also kind of weak. That it takes the whole movie down for me. So, getting onto my score, entertainment, I would give this movie a 3 out of 4. Just because it loses me in that third act. I don't feel scared anymore. There's some questionable scary moments. So but overall pretty great. Scare / kills, I'd only give it a 2 out of 4 because I really think there's only like 1 or 2 like really memorable scary moments in this movie.
But
like the car scene doesn't bother me.
How scared were you when you first saw this?
I wasn't that scared. And I remember that. I remember walking out of this movie thinking, and listen, I'm a little desensitized to horror in general, so I'm not the best person to ask about that. But I'm just thinking in terms of, like, design. I mean, like, maybe it deserves a 3 out of 4, but I'm going to keep it at the 2 out of 4 just because, I don't know.
It's your score. Stand by it.
It's almost a 3 out of 4. I'd give you that. Writing / acting, I'd give it a 1 out of 2. It's really close to being great, but it kind of falls flat at the end.
Yeah.
And that gives my total score 6 out of 10.
I have 7 out of 10.
So out of your 2,
I know this is hard.
So what did you give Trick or Treat?
Trick or Treat's an 8 out of 10.
So Trick or Treat's the winner.
No.
It has to.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with that. I support that. I support Trick or Treat being my winner.
Yeah.
What's your winner?
Well, for me, it would also be Trick or Treat. If I bumped As Above, So Below up to a 3 out of 4, it would tie it, but I still would give tie to the runner to Trick or Treat. So that means that,
Jimmy.
Unfortunately, Trick or Treat has to win this round.
That's so sad, actually.
It's really sad that As Above, So Below is going to get eliminated in the first round.
Because this is a great movie.
It really is a great movie.
But Trick or Treat is just that much better.
Yeah, sad.
And so
I
that's
know,
what I'm
Jimmy,
saying.
it's
Like,
sad.
it's hard because Trick or Treat's not a horror movie. And this...
It is. I disagree with you. It's a horror movie.
Okay. Well, I'm fine. I love Sam. Sam's the boy.
Because I 100% think it's
Yeah.
because look, we have Jason 4 on this list. If we're gonna put
You're
a
right.
slasher
Oh,
on
I
this
hear
list,
I hear
you know,
I'm sad though.
I am too. I mean, listen, it was a killer round 1. It really was. This is a really devastating round 1.
That was probably one of the hardest ones that we have.
Yeah, because going through this, there's a lot of these. I think I could probably give a gut reaction of which one's gonna win.
Sure.
But this one was
like
really
the
close.
Hardest one. We love you so much, Benji.
But Trick or Treat is an underrated movie.
That was fantastic.
And I'm happy to see it win.
I know, we're sad too, Jimmy.
All right. So,
we only have half of the bracket.
We
Do you
only
want to just stop?
No, I would like to talk about this film, and it can be a cliffhanger for the next episode.
Okay.
So the next bracket, we've only seen one movie so far in the bracket. Yesterday we watched The Visit, and it's up against The Fog, which we will be seeing.
Which we haven't seen.
We haven't seen it yet, but we'll be watching it after.
Yeah.
After we record this, we're gonna go watch The Fog, the remake of The Fog, which is gonna be terrible.
I don't think it is. I'm very excited about it.
So we had to put The Visit on here almost as a meme.
We watched it on our first date.
We did watch it on our first date. For the chat, this movie for the longest time, The Visit, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, came out in 2015.
Which is a shocker, dude.
It's insane that he made this movie. For the longest time, this was the lowest rated film on my entire Letterboxd profile, only to be overtaken by The Rings remake. This movie...
Which did not make the list, sadly.
It did not. This movie holds a special place in my heart because it's so terrible. And it's such a mixed bag. I'm actually kind of excited to talk about it. Natalie, do you want to take it away?
I will.
And talk about The Visit?
Yes. So for entertainment, I gave it a 0 out of 4. I said, I don't know if it's because I've seen this movie too many times or if it really is just boring, but last night I was on my phone half the movie. It's just not good. I understand the entertainment value for, like, it's funny, like Tyler, the annoying ass little kid.
One of the main characters' names is Tyler.
Doing, like, his raps is, like, funny, I guess, but I don't know if it's supposed to be funny. Like, that's where it gets kind of lost. Pineapple Upside Down Cake is forever an iconic banger. Like, put that SoundCloud out, and it's just, but I can't. It's boring and it's not good. And Pineapple Upside Down Cake does not make up for the rest of the 90 minutes that I have to sit through, so it's got a 0. For scares versus kills, I only gave it a 1 out of 4, which is honestly too high. Are you gonna play it?
No, I can't because I'll get copyrighted.
But you should look up Tyler rapping Pineapple Upside Down Cake. But yeah, 1 out of 4 for kills, just because I think that the hide and seek sequence is good.
Yeah.
I think that is scary. I think that would be weird, and I think that like the sound mixing or whatever is done well enough that that's kind of scary.
Okay.
But I said 1 minute out of 90 doesn't really
do much for you.
It's not very. Yeah, I need more than that. And for production, I put a 0 out of 2, and my note is just I hate this shit. So that's about it.
So your total score is
1.
1 out of 10.
Okay. Yes.
Awesome. So yeah, for me, for entertainment, I'd give it a 1 out of 4 because I think that the first act is like serviceable, and when you're watching the movie, every time I rewatch this movie, I'm watching the first act and I'm thinking to myself, man, this is a really bad movie, but it's still like made well, you know, like, and that's what's so confusing about this film is that M. Night Shyamalan does make some bad films, but they're never terrible. And he definitely never makes, like, campy horror. No. Which is kind of, like, it almost feels like this is M. Night's attempt at making a campy horror movie. But you touched on this early on in your review, which is I'm very confused about what the intention of this film is. And I think M. Night was confused as well. Because at times it feels like they're trying to be funny, and then at times there's horror moments that are so bad I can't tell if they're trying to be funny. Right. Like, there are moments in the third act of this movie that are so actually terrible that I can't tell if they're trying to be funny or not. Yeah. But I'm like 90% sure they're not trying to be funny.
No, I think that was genuinely, like, it's supposed to be scary.
It's supposed to be the scary climax.
A scary movie. Yeah.
It is. With a little bit of comedic relief, but the horror moments are supposed to be horrifying. Yeah. And they're nothing about this movie is scary, which leads me to my next score. Scare/kills, 0 out of 10.
You gave it a 0? You don't think the under the house scene is scary?
No. And there's so much terrible crap in this movie. It's so bad, which is crazy because he's made creepy movies before. Like, all of his movies are, like, kind of slow and suspenseful. Like, The Village isn't a horror movie, but it's, like, a slow, suspenseful thriller that's actually, like...
But that's what's different. Creepier. This is not a thriller. This
it's
is a horror movie.
Yeah,
so that's the thing. Like...
This was his attempt at a horror movie.
He can't do it.
And,
and Jason Blum. So we can also blame Jason Blum.
But he's just one of the producers. M. Night is still the sole writer and director of the movie. So yeah, like, he got Blum from Blumhouse on board to help him produce it and make it sort of feel like a horror movie. And honestly, I'm sure the only relatively spooky moments of music or, like, production design probably came from Blum. And all of the terrible crap came from M. Night.
Well, the basement scene is straight up Plum's producer tag video.
Yeah, with the shaky cam and stuff. And it's like a found footage film almost, but it's like shot like a documentary with like good cameras, so it's really not nice a found quality. Footage. Yeah, right. And it's just like it's such a miss. It really feels like M. Night sat down and he wanted to make like a modern hip horror movie, which is why you've got like Tyler giving like terribly written raps, like absolutely garbage.
Have you ever heard of Tyler, the Creator? Like, name drops the one rapper that M. Night Shyamalan knows.
Right, it's just, and like they're like misusing slang.
Yeah.
Like they're throwing shade, but like it wasn't throwing shade. Like, it's just like I said, the first half of this movie is funny bad, where if you're drunk with your friends and you throw it on, the first half of this movie will entertain you, and then the second half is boring and it like laughably like not funny bad. I don't know. The second half just absolutely falls apart.
But this is the only movie. Yeah, Jimmy, you have to watch it. You really do.
You need to see this.
You have to see it.
My buddy literally bought it for me on Blu-ray.
It's one of the only horror movies that we own.
Yeah, on Blu-ray.
Like crazy.
As a meme.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's the word, but you have to watch it. Let us know what you think.
It's crazy. And then, like, without spoiling too much, like, the twist that M. Night always has is so worthless in this film.
No, I don't super agree with that statement.
I just think, listen, the twist is fine. It's a pretty good twist, whatever.
I think it's good, and rewatching it, he does a lot throughout the movie
the twist. He does.
So I appreciate that. Don't listen to him. The payoff is semi worth it the first time. Every other rewatch, why have we rewatched this movie so many times?
I've seen this movie at least 3 times.
Every other rewatch is like so. Ugh.
But I think what I was trying to say is, like, there's no, like, the theme of this movie is so confusing.
Yeah.
Like, what you're supposed to take away from this based on what they're scared of and based on the twist is just so, like, haphazardly done. Yeah. And I know you don't have to take a theme away from a horror movie, but, like, on a basic level, Trick or Treat is about following the rules of Halloween, right? Every movie on its basic level has some basic message, and the basic message for this movie is just horrendous. And that's really all I can say about it without completely giving it away. But Jimmy, I think you would love this movie. I don't know if you'd like it ironically or unironically, because you loved Malignant. So
the unofficial message is old people are scary, and I think that's my favorite horror movie message of all time. It is, yes. Old people are scary, and I think we should start normalizing that idea. So
that is true. Old people are scary is kind of the message.
It's the message. It is.
So yeah, that's it for this half of the bracket. So tonight we're gonna watch The Fog. Oh, so sorry, my total score was 1 out of 10. I give writing/acting a 1. So we tied with 1 out of 10 for The Visit. And tonight we're gonna be watching The Fog, which I think is gonna be, so the original came out in 1980 and was directed.
Oh, it's not in English.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the original was a John Carpenter film. But Natalie insisted that we watch the 2005 remake.
I don't watch originals. I only watch remakes.
Which,
oh my God, Smallville! This is gonna be great.
Which this movie, if you look at the distribution, is pretty low compared to the original. I don't want to read
anything. I don't know anything about this movie.
The original is rated pretty well, actually.
But you don't like Jamie Lee Curtis, so.
Oh, that's interesting. So I guess we're watching the remake. As long as this movie can beat a 1 out of 10, it's gonna beat The Visit. But it might not. It really might not. So stay tuned for next week. Yeah. Closing thoughts. What out of the movies we've discussed today, what's your personal favorite? Is it Trick or Treat?
I think it's Trick or Treat. Well, I really love As Above, So Below, but I think it's probably Trick or Treat, like favorite.
Yeah.
It's just Halloween. Nothing gets me more ready for the month of October than Trick or Treat.
Okay. That's fair enough. My favorite, okay, so it would be Trick or Treat as well, but
damn, is it gonna sweep? No,
I don't think it's gonna sweep. I think of the movies we've discussed today, it's probably it's tough because, like, for me, like, horror movies have such a nostalgic element to them. Yeah. So it's like Jeepers Creepers for me holds a very special place because I saw it so much as a kid.
Yeah.
And As Above, So Below, same thing, holds a very special nostalgic place. Trick or Treat doesn't have the nostalgia element. But I think as a whole, I do think it is the best movie that we've talked about. So personal favorite is hard for me to say. We didn't add a nostalgia category. That probably would have complicated things a bit.
It would have. I can only do math out of 10.
So yeah, stay tuned. Next Wednesday we'll be talking about The Fog versus The Visit, and then the other brackets we kind of just take it day by day. So I'm not sure what other brackets we'll be discussing.
But we have a holiday weekend in there. So we should probably tackle, like, the longer ones, like the It Master Cut and The Shining.
Yeah, there's a couple films on here. We have a couple double features in here. So, like, Saw 5 and 6 is just being roped together. There's a couple examples of that in here. Like, we're watching the It Master Cut. So it's both of the new It movies, but they're cut together like the book, where they flip back and forth and use some of the deleted scenes. So that's kind of unique. I think that'll be cool. And then at the end of the month, after our 4 recaps that we're doing now, we'll do that 5th episode, which will be the final. Stay tuned on, like me on Facebook and Instagram for updates. And any closing thoughts?
No, this was really fun. This is my first time.
Yeah, Natalie's.
I'm with GRose. I'm very happy to be here.
Natalie's first podcast. if there are any viewers that maybe want to try to hop in and talk about one of these films at some point,
Jimmy's favorite
let us know.
of today was As Above, So Below.
As Above, So Below is your favorite. You know what? It's good to see that other people like that movie.
Yeah, because I haven't really heard people talking about it, and I always thought it was super fun.
I'm willing to bet that for people our age, we probably like it more because we saw it at such like a perfect time in our lives when it came out.
2014. So that was my junior year of high school. So
I guess that makes sense.
yeah.
So,
Is it rated R?
As Above, So Below?
Hi, Mike. I miss you. I haven't seen you in so long.
As Above, So... Whatever. Thanks for joining us, everybody. It gets a better rep. Yeah, you're right, Jimmy. Thanks for joining, everyone. Stay tuned next week. This is going to be really fun. Peace out.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.